I'm here today with Wilma Brand, who is the one of the original members of the building committee for Suncrest United Methodist Church when the sanctuary was constructed 50 years ago.
Right. Only I wasn't on the building committee, I was on the planning committee. Jim Benson and Pastor High, Charlie High, and the architect and I, we visited churches in Fairmont and Clarksburg and looked at their sanctuaries. We visited, we came back and brought the idea that we thought would work the best for us to the building committee. And then he and I went to Cowan Hall, and he set up a thermometer and organized the pledge dinners.
Mm-hmm.
And the ladies cooked chicken a la Drummond.
Now, what is chicken a la Drummond?
Well, you put the chicken in the bottom of the pan with the gravy and the dressing over it. Then when you serve it, you cut a square and turn it over so that the gravy and the dressing is on top of the bread. But that's what we paid for the sanctuary with the dinners. We had the pledge dinners. And one night we had the plates made. One night we put paper plates on the top and served the chicken a la Drummond for $25 a plate. But you could eat and take the plate home with you.
Well, $25 a plate back then was a pretty good price.
It was a terrible price. Now, I didn't cook. I shared the dining room all that time. Okay, where were we? Okay, we had so many pledges, and the building committee decided they could start, but we continued to have the dinners. Anyway, they finished the sanctuary. It was beautiful. Somebody decided to paint that ceiling blue, and they didn't prime it. I'm an old hardware gal. They didn't prime it, so it just smeared, So that night, it turned cold. That night, they brought in some oil heaters. That smoked the whole place brown.
So you were here for the part of the church's construction that was the planning and...
Yes, and the ceiling. That's the last thing I remember, was that smeared blue paint turned brown.
Now tell me this. You said that it was you and Reverend High,
Jim Benson,
and
the architect. But I don't know who.
Well, now, how many different places did you go to look at churches?
Fairmont and Clarksburg.
And
what does Jim remember?
I don't know. I haven't talked to him yet. But did you decide that one of the churches you saw was exactly what you wanted Suncrest to be?
Well, that's what we thought, people. But I don't know which. What was that, 50 years ago, Tim? What do you expect?
Well, no, I agree.
You'd be surprised that I remembered that well.
But here's the thing that I'm intrigued by. It appears that you all wanted it to seat about 500 people. That's what is stated in some of the old documents.
Could be.
And I was wondering, if you only had a little chapel that seated about 100, because the little white frame church,
yes,
it didn't seat but about 100. It would be full with 100.
But we didn't have that big of crowds. 65, 70. But then we started having church down in Cowan Hall. We met in Cowan Hall while the sanctuary was being built.
Well, here's my question. If you had a sanctuary that held 100, and then you went to Cowan Hall, which would hold a couple of hundred,
I don't know. You talk to Jim about that. I really don't know why we built that.
Large. So the seating of 500,
I don't know, Jim.
I think it's remarkable that you all had the vision to believe that Suncrest would need a sanctuary that large. That's just amazing to me. Now, can you remember any other things about the time of the planning committee or anything related to those years when Suncrest was in that transitional period?
No, I just remember we had them. I was president. We had the 5 active circles, and then I remember about Mrs. Jacobson and so on cooking the chicken holic, drumming, and I chaired the dining room. Made sure the waitresses. You'd be surprised. I do remember this. There were some ladies, church ladies, volunteered as waitresses that did not know how to correctly set a table.
So you had to have them training, I guess.
Yes. Had to show them how to, and how to serve.
Well, when they didn't know how to set the table, you mean they didn't know where to put the silverware on the right or the left?
Yes, or where the coffee cup went, or how they didn't know to serve to the right or the left,
Why do you think they didn't know those things?
Well, they never had any use of it at home, and I don't know why they didn't correctly set the table. At home, I guess they just had a fork and spoon.